Hello friends, Yumis, gamers, and everything in between. My name is Malchior, and today I am here to give you my Impressplanation on Warhammer 40,000 Boltgun. So, this will be the first episode of my new series where I go over my impressions and explanations, if you may, on various video games as I play through them, and just, real quick, let you know whether or not it's worth your pretty penny. So, Warhammer 40,000 Boltgun is a new boomer shooter, as they've come to be called. It's heavily inspired by Wolfenstein, Doom, Marathon, Blood, Shadow Warrior, all those classic 3D polygon Doom clones, as they were. It was developed by Auroch Digital, who have previously developed Mars Horizon, which was a management sim, Dark Future Blood Red States, which, from what I've gathered, was some kind of action strategy car combat game. And last year they put out Brewmaster Beer Brewing Simulator. So these guys have certainly been versatile when it comes to their game genres. And other than that, they've worked on various smaller Games Workshop tabletop ports for mobile and PC throughout their existence. And obviously, their most recent effort when it comes to the game development was none other than Warhammer 40k Boltgun. So, we're going to start out here looking at the options menu. Let's take a look at the video. So, pretty much everything you want will be here. They have an FOV slider, cap your frame rate VSync if you're a masochist, your gore pool size, and, it doesn't need to be, really the most important thing here is the FOV slider, because it is simply a boomer shooter, so it's not really, you're not expecting, a whole smorgasbord of options here like you would for a AAA game. When it comes to something that's really cool here is, given its retro roots, you can actually customize some of the those old graphical options that games of old of this nature may have had. So you have your pixelation here, and also a retro palette, which kind of makes it look like you're on an acid trip, which, depending on your headcanon when it comes to Space Marines doing their purging of heresy, maybe right up your alley. And accessibility options, they actually give you an option to turn on vulnerability, and screen shake, yeah, we're going to go ahead and turn that off. Controller rumble, I mean, it's not like I'm using a controller, but let's see, short for the cerebral skull. Head bobbing, yeah, let's go ahead and turn that off. Alright. So, overall, for the nature of the game, the options are, very much serviceable. In terms of performance, I have noticed there has been a little bit of slowdown when it comes to, flaming enemies. There's an enemy in this game called a Flamer, which, of course, if you're familiar with Warhammer, you'll know exactly what that is. And if you go in close to it and, try to kill it, and obviously, what else would you do to it? You're going to be seeing a bit of slowdown. Other than that, the game's run pretty good, and I'm about, based on the weapons I've collected, I would say I'm about halfway through the game. Judging by the achievements, there's 3 chapters, but I haven't gotten the achievement for completing Chapter 1 yet, so who really knows how far through I am. Well, let's jump in, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes. Alright, so, first thing you'll notice is the sound design, which I think is incredible. When it comes to Warhammer and, being a Space Marine, there's a certain... a certain meatiness to it that you expect here, and you can hear, all the weapons, everything flying around you. The bolt gun sounds great, shotgun sounds great, all the weapons sound great, that I've gotten so far. Take a listen to the heavy bolter. Listen to that. It's good stuff. And So obviously, taking a good look at the game, you'll notice it's taken a lot of inspiration from the Brutal Doom and Project Brutality mods for the classic Doom games, with the amount of giblets and just like the movement that you want to be doing and everything. These are flamers. So from what I've gathered, so the story of this game, I mean, it's Warhammer, obviously, but this game is actually a midquel to Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, which came out back in 2011. So it takes place on the same planet, planet Graia, and it's pretty much the aftermath of everything that occurred on Titus's journey throughout Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. And it's also pretty apt, because Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 will be coming out in the not-so-far future. So I think it's pretty cool of them to have a little teaser, as it were, to the potential aftermath of that game. So, speaking of bolt guns and warhammers and things like that, it would seem that the forces of chaos have very much established a foothold on Graia Prime. So as you start out, you'll mainly be fighting cultists, you know, just humanoid enemies with weapons, that kind of thing. And you know, most of the humanoid enemies in this game, I am playing on hard, the second hardest difficulty. Most of the humanoid enemies die in like 1 or 2 shots from like the basic weapon here, as you can see. So yep, these guys really aren't, you know, aren't too dangerous. But as you keep going and you get into the more demonic enemies, like the physical representations, in addition to the heavier cultists, such as the Inspiring Champions, which this is a new enemy type I haven't seen yet. So we're gonna want to make sure. Yeah, it looks like these guys just try to rush right towards you. Ooh, and they have a chance to turn the check. Ooh, that's pretty neat. Okay. So, enemy variety in this game is very much, good, for lack of a better word. The enemy variety is insane. So, there are 2 primary factions so far that I've encountered. There's Nurgle and Tzeentch, the Chaos Gods, which it's very interesting because in the lore, Nurgle and Tzeentch are mortal enemies. You know, Tzeentch is all about change, and Nurgle is all about stagnation and decay. But as far as I remember, and as far as I realized, there hasn't been like each level will be themed after one enemy faction. The humanoid enemies are pretty, you know, they're pretty similar. They don't really have any of that unique chaos flair that you might see in something like Total Warhammer 3 with the Chaos factions. So yeah, you know, your Aspiring Champions, your Chaos Space Marines, and all that will very much be having the typical black and gold armor, while your demons are pretty much the meat and potatoes of the game when it comes to the variants. So far, I've seen Screamers of Tzeentch, which are these flying dudes that look a lot like that one Zerg Starcraft unit, Broodlords. You know, those guys. And basically what they'll do is they'll just, you know, rush you and try to kill you. You also have the pink horrors, which they do split into 2 blue horrors, like they do like in the lore. So that's much appreciated. These devs have done their homework. And, what else do we have? As for Nurgle, you know, you have the classic Nurgling. You have the Plague Toads. You have lesser and regular Plague Toads, which are, you know, the regular Plague Toads pack a bit of a punch there. Anyway. Very much Doom-inspired. There are secrets and all that kind of thing that you can find in this game. There are weapon pickups that will temporarily buff your weapon. So you can see that my bolt gun here is glowing green a little bit. That's because on this map I picked up a machine spirit, and that will increase the level of your weapon that you can see at the bottom right, or the strength, rather. It'll increase the strength by 1 level. So, at the start of the game, the strength level, yeah, let's explain that mechanic. At the start of the game, the servo skull will explain to you, your servo skull is your little Navi companion that you'll occasionally see flying around. Your servo skull explains to you that you want to, like, you know, higher strength enemies, you want to try to use higher strength weapons. Honestly, you'll see each enemy type, like, as I crosshair over them, will have a strength level. To go on, see, like that cultist is strength level 3. This cultist is also strength level 3. Honestly, it really doesn't mean anything. So, like that, if there's one critique to be had, it's definitely that. Like, the strength level just seems a little bit arbitrary. Because, you'll have a, let's see, you'll have like a blue horror that's strength level 3, and a cultist that's strength level 3. They both die in 1 to 2 hits. It's just, you know, one will try to, the horror will try to chase you down and melee you, while the cultist will try to hit you from afar with their weapons. Yep, this is a... Alright, munitions boon, so that is very much an upgrade. Okay, so, this is what's called a purge. This is really the best part of the game here. Occasionally, the screen will turn red when you enter an arena, and the servo skull will tell you to purge the heretics, and all hell will break loose, for lack of a better term. As you can see, there are just, enemies will be everywhere, and hopefully... Ooh, what is that? Yep, that's a... These are the screamers I was talking about earlier. And, yep, just, you know, as with most boomer shooters, you want to try to keep moving. If you don't want to die. Now, I kind of want to knock on wood, but I will say, I'm about, let's say 5-6 levels in. I haven't died yet, thus far. I came close a few times. There's an Exalted Flamer. Ooh, that's my favorite siege, demon. Alright, let's hit that with the plasma. So yeah, you can see, like that Exalted Flamer is, like, it's strength level 4. And, like, so is the Screamer, but the Screamers die in 1 hit, while the Exalted Flamer has taken several hits from my plasma gun, and I don't know if it's a display bug or whatever, but it seems very inconsequential as to the actual strength of the enemy that you're shooting at. Like, you know, you can see these blue horrors are all strength level 3. Like, what does that mean? They all die in 1 hit from the basic weapon. And you know, these guys too, like... But other than that, like, taking it at face value, when it comes to the AI, it's, you know, it's alright. It's very much, it's very, like, out of all the boomer shooters, I would say the classic Doom has inspired this one the most, which, you know, it's pretty funny. I mean, not pretty funny, it's pretty interesting to say, because you do play as a Space Marine in Doom, and so on. So, as for the sandbox, when it comes to the enemy variety, it's felt a little too easy at points. I mean, you can see I'm literally on the edge of death here as I say that, so maybe I shouldn't be speaking too soon. When it comes to, I think it's mainly all the options you have, because, you know, obviously you want to keep moving, and you want to be holding down that sprint key and just, like, jumping all over the place. There is no, there are no hit scan weapons in this game from the enemies, as far as I've gathered. Every projectile can be dodged, as you can see. That's a flamer. Every projectile can be dodged. Every enemy can be kited. So far, I would say the Aspiring Champions are definitely the most threatening melee unit, which, you know, we've just encountered them in this level, so... the difficulty curve, I guess, is semi-alright. Like I said, I'm playing on the 2nd hardest difficulty, and I have not died yet. But, you know, if you play something like Dusk, which came out a few years back, I would say Dusk is much more difficult than this game. But then again, that's a game that's reliant on you, you know, like constantly strafe jumping and all that. It's very much Quake inspired, that one, while this one is more Doom inspired. As far as, oh yeah, also, so at the start of the game, you get to pick your, well, as you go to launch into the game for the first time at the start of the campaign, obviously it has you pick your space marine, and it lists your ability. So you have I have an ability on F here that I haven't been using. It's a little charge. You know, I just did it. It does a little bit of damage. Does some knockback. I might be reading too much into it, but it honestly appears that, you know, in future DLC you're going to be able to play as different variants of Space Marines, or perhaps different classes, like, you know, maybe Adeptus Mechanicus or something like that in the future. But for now, we just have our Space Marine, and that's very much not an issue. Because, like I said, come on, you can't beat that. You can't beat, you know, cleaving down heresy with a heavy bolter. That sounds magnificent. Yeah, I mean, the bolter doesn't sound as good as the one in something like Darktide, but, you know, I would say this is a much better game than Darktide, because Darktide has its own slew of problems. Well, this one, Warhammer 40k Boltgun, is relatively polished and very much, it's a romp. You know, like, you have a taunt button where your guy just, like, you know, goes crazy at whatever he's looking at and tells them that they're about to meet their dark gods, things like that. Yep, as you can see, it's very much embracing the campiness of the Warhammer universe, and, you know, anyone who's into Warhammer, and even anyone who's not into Warhammer, will very much appreciate that. Excuse me. Okay. So, you can see here a few of the enemy variants at work. So the pink flamers will, or the pink horrors, excuse me, and the flamers will stay back and try to hit you, while everything else just bull rushes you down and tries to, you know, hit you in the kneecaps or whatever. But unfortunately, my faith in the Emperor is too strong for ruinous powers to quench. So yeah, I think that's gonna about do it, my friends. I very much recommend Warhammer 40k Boltgun. It is easily the best Warhammer game to have come out within the past even 2 years, I would probably say. Let's see, what else has come out? Like, we're looking at Total Warhammer 3, which has its own problems, has had its own problems. It's getting better, it's getting there. Same with Darktide. Darktide had a bunch of problems on launch, and they finally just got Darktide to a state that it should have been in at launch, but as far as I can tell, Boltgun is everything you could want right out of the gate. You know, there's just no funny business going on here. So you can pick it up for around $20 or your regional equivalent on Steam or Epic Games or any of those storefronts that you prefer. And again, my name is Malchior, and this has been the first episode of my Impressplanation series. And hopefully I'll be seeing you all again soon. Much love, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Bye-bye.